The 50-win Boston Celtics came into Salt Lake City with the number 1 offense, the number 2 defense, and the best team in the NBA. They looked like it, even though they were missing 3 guys. We'll talk about it coming up on POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
David Locke, along with Ron Boone, as the Utah Jazz fall to the Boston Celtics 123-107 tonight. The Celtics are a well-oiled machine right now, prepping to win the Eastern Conference and play in the NBA Finals against the Denver Nuggets. We've seen the 2 best teams in the NBA the last 2 nights. Without Lauri Markkanen, we are not at that level. That is not surprising to anyone, but still a great experience for our guys to get that time and opportunity. And we saw some real moments, particularly from Keontae. We'll touch about the recap of the ball game quickly. The first quarter, the Celtics scored 191 points per 100 possessions. The way I described that was if the Jazz had played 0 defense and allowed the Celtics to run up the floor and lay it up every single time, they would have had a 200 offensive rating. Instead, they had a 191. From there, the Jazz actually battled pretty good. They second quarter was close. The Jazz lost the second quarter 28-24. They won the third quarter and got it down to a 2-point game at 93-91, and the Boston Celtics went on a 20-0 run to just kill the game. And you made an interesting comment during the game, Ron. You made the comment that, like, to you, it just seemed like they just turned it on whenever they wanted to.
It's exactly, and they started to make that run even before they made a substitution. And then Jason Tatum comes back in the ball game, and all of a sudden it just starts to spread. And my impression of Tatum playing tonight, now we might see something different against another team, is that he did what he wanted. He could do what he wants, and it's nothing you can do. You couldn't stop him. One heck of a basketball player. They spread the floor very, very well, and they shoot threes. Something like University of Utah.
They take the most the women's team.
The women's team. Yeah.
They take the most threes of any team in the NBA,
and they took 49
and they went 20 of 49, so they cooled down to 41% before it was over. They were hovering well over 50% for most of the night. The Jazz on the other end actually had a really good offensive night. I mean, that was kind of the crazy thing. In the first quarter, I think the Jazz offensive rating was like a 141, and they ended up, the Jazz ended up shooting 48% and 47% from 3. And so it was a really good offensive night for the Jazz. Tatum
until the fourth quarter.
And then when it mattered, they went about 6 minutes without a field goal, and then the fourth quarter they went 6 of 19 overall shooting. Tatum, it's interesting. There's so much discussion about Tatum and this and that, where he is, and Ben Anderson did a nice job on a pregame show and postgame show with that. Here's the one thing on Tatum tonight where I think he deserves a little bit more credit. He takes a lot of really ill-advised shots that are difficult and seemingly unnecessary. Yet, he takes 25 shots tonight and scores 38 points. Right? Like, that's super. Like, Jordan Clarkson had an great game tonight. He took 18 shots, scored 21 points. So Jason Tatum, while he's doing all these other things, and he kind of forces some shot. His strength is his weakness that he's 6'9" and he can get any shot off. But he also went to the line 8 times, so he just becomes a really efficient player tonight, scoring 35 points on 25 shots, or 38 points on 25 shots. That's hard to beat.
And if they were at full strength, he would not probably have taken that many shots. But it's just being efficient. And I think, looking at some of the shots he takes, boy, that's a low percentage shot. But then, he makes it. So he's a very talented basketball player, and again, he makes this team very, very good.
Okay, 2 bright spots for the Jazz. Keontae comes out just firing tonight. He has 14 points in the first quarter. He finishes tonight with 26. Over the last 3 full games he's played, he's averaging almost 30 points a ball game. What are you seeing from Key right now?
His confidence is definitely getting better and better, higher and higher, and also not like maybe. Let's use Tucker as an example. Maybe that's an overuse of guy shooting a low percentage shot, but you don't see that with Keontae. He seems to take shots when they're there, and that's exactly what Will wants, but his confidence is definitely there. I don't think he thinks that he can miss. He gets 17 shots of ball tonight. Would he average 17 if Laurie was playing? Probably not, but he's still being that playmaker out there on the floor. And another thing, he did not let he didn't start the ball game off with Holiday guarding him to the point where he didn't get a chance to push the ball up the floor and something like that. So he was able to get off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, really, there was a period of time where if you had concerns about Keontae, one was his shooting numbers. They were frighteningly low for a while. They were below 40, I think it was, from the field, and below 30 from three. And like that combination for an NBA season, if you do that in your first year, it's bad. Like there are not many. There's like 2 players that have ever survived that. And so that was disconcerting. That's gone. He's 9 of 17 tonight. He's 5 of 10 from three. The fact he can get 10 threes off every night is pretty awesome. His stroke on the off the bounce three is about 36% for the season. His catch and shoot numbers are really, really rising. I mean, it's really all coming together for him offensively at an excitingly high level.
So let me ask you this, and I think this just might be one of the reasons and one of the cases that he is starting to play better and make better decisions out there on the floor. The Jazz at the beginning of the year spent a lot of time on the road. I mean, they were out and out, that type of thing. Coaches talk a lot about practice and not getting a chance to practice and to develop players, in other words. And so I think the fact that now the Jazz are getting a chance to have some practices, and that might help there as well.
That's a good point. The Jazz schedule has been a little softer as of late. The other one was the Jazz had a really good 24-9 run to make it 93-91. Jordan was a large part of it. That was the best portion of the game for the Jazz tonight.
Yeah, it's and it gets exciting there when Jordan has it going, and he feels it. He feels it there as well. Yeah, he had a very good. What was that? The second quarter,
third quarter
when he started to turn it on. But this team is not at this point built to tackle the better teams in the league.
Well, and we've got a bunch of games against those teams, so it's going to be a really interesting stretch. Will Hardy has a really tough task right here. We're talking about individual, frankly, the final games of the year about individual development while trying to stay inside of a team construct. That's not the easiest thing in the world for a head coach to do.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And let's use the Boston Celtics as an example. Use that leprechaun as an example.
Oh, you're going to get mad now, aren't you?
Yeah, but you're having to prepare for a team that's as good as the Celtics are. So what do you take away? The pickup points, they were high tonight, trying to get Pritchard or Tatum or someone to give the ball up. But in the meantime, that's exactly what happened. Spreading the court. Now they get open threes. When you pack it in, you're still giving up threes. I mean, it's awfully difficult for a coach to come up with a game plan when you're playing against a team as loaded as the Celtics.
And when you're out Lowry and Taylor, and you don't really want to play Walker and John together, you really end up very limited. I mean, we were playing 4 guards and John Collins for part of the game. We were just so small. One of the other highlights tonight, Micah Potter got some time. First time he got regular time. This is just a delightful young man. Anyone who spent time with Micah Potter is rooting for Micah Potter. My biggest tribute to Micah Potter is that when the Jazz play a game and Micah Potter is not on the roster because he's on the G League and the G League team is not playing, he comes to the game and sits in the crowd. Yeah. And I saw him the other day, and I was like, congrats. I said to him, I was like, I think it's really impressive. And he's like, well, I'm a part of the team, aren't I? I was like, right, you're a part of the team. So a lot of guys who are a part of the team wouldn't be willing to sit in the crowd.
Right. Yeah.
And it just shows kind of the testament to who he is as a person and as a professional, as someone who's trying to make their way in the league. He's just committed to it. He led the league in G League in 3-point shooting 2 years ago. He's been a little lower the last 2 years. I think he hit 2 tonight. So that was really nice to see. I mean, Micah got 12 minutes, 8 points, 2 of 2 from 3. Kind of a cool thing for him to get some of that time tonight.
Yeah, I watched him play the other night against the Legends.
Yep.
And boy, he looked good. He looked really good. Obviously, he's in shape. Shot the basketball well. Rebounded very, very well. And so I know from our interviews at the beginning of the year, his goal was not only be on the roster, his goal was to be a rotation player.
There was nothing more endearing than him talking about his wife's willingness to be on this journey for him to have this dream of trying to be an NBA player and to make it, and how much she's given up for him. She actually works in the nil world of the name, image, likeness. So that's a really great job there. So they're a neat family. They're neat people. So that was fun to see. All right. Who are your Keontae is a star tonight, I would assume.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Who's your second star tonight?
Boy, it just happened. It's hard to go away from Jordan Clarkson, because the way he plays at home. Sensabaugh, I'm sorry, Luka probably had one of his better ball games with 7 rebounds. I'm looking at Collins. Collins happened to go up against Garnett, who's 7'1", probably got 260, 280, and he couldn't. Just couldn't rebound with him.
Yep.
He ended up with 4 rebounds. So it's kind of
John Collins was 2 of 9 with 4 rebounds. We haven't seen John Collins have a line like that in a long time.
No, not in a long time. So I don't know. Maybe Jordan Clarkson and Keontae. Yeah.
Jordan Clarkson, Keontae George are your stars of the night. Jordan carried the Jazz in the third quarter for the 20-0 run, put the Jazz to sleep tonight. Celtics go to 51-14 on the year. Atlanta, Quinn Snyder returns on Friday. Have a great night. Thank you very much for tuning in. We now send you to the first ever 24/7 national sports stream. It's called Locked On Sports Today. It's also available on Amazon Fire TV.